the big thing with chapter 7 as far as starting out with exponents is I need you to understand, just a quick review, what does 3 to the 4th mean? It means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, right? 3 times 3 is 9. Those are 9, so that would be 81. Agreed? And then just a quick review, is there a difference between this and this? What's the difference? What does this one mean? It means a negative of 2 times 2, which is negative 4. This one is negative 2 times negative 2, which means it'd be positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. Are we good with those? Yes? Okay. Today, if I give you 2 to the 1st power, what does that mean? It means it's just 1, 2, right? And we know that 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. And we know 2 to the 3rd is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. My question to you is, what's 2 to the 0? It's not no solution. It's not 2 either. It can't be 2 because I want you to think of it this way. How do you go from here to here? You're not adding 2. You're timesing by 2, right? And then to go from here to here, you're also timesing by 2, right? So to go to the next one, all we have to do is times that 8 by 2. So we'd say 2 to the 4th. What would the answer be? 16. We all agree? So you all agree that moving down this list, all we have to do is times by 2, times by 2, times by 2, right? Which means, how do you go up the list? How can I go from a 16 to an 8? You could think of it as, I'm going to divide by 2. Which means if I divide this by 2, I'm going to get 4. And if I divide that by 2, I get that. So what's the answer here if I divide that by 2? The answer is 1. There is a rule, and it works like this, that basically any number to the 0 power is going to be 1. Always. The only way it doesn't is 0. 0 to the 0 is actually undefined. There's no number 0 to the 0 power. But any other number to the 0 power is 1. Does that kind of make sense? So if I give you, what is 12 to the 0 power? 1. What's negative 19 to the 0 power? Well, technically it'd be a negative of 0, or negative 1. Why would it be negative 1 in this case? Because is that negative part of the exponent? No, only the 19. Are we good with these? Yes? Okay. Going back to that list, if I take this same list, give myself some room, can I keep going? What's this going to be? How do I get that number? How do I go negative exponents? It's not negative 2. I'm not doing negative 2. How do I go up this list again? All I'm doing is dividing by 2. What is 1 divided by 2? 1/2. I need you guys to understand negative exponents if you see 3 to the negative third power, that is not a negative number. Negative exponents do not mean negative numbers. They typically mean small numbers. What you do with negative exponents is you flip them. If we want to figure out what 2 to the negative 2 power is, well, all we do is divide that by 2, which, what's half of a half? 1/4. So there's a rule. And the rule is any number can be raised to a negative exponent. If you see a negative exponent, all you have to do is flip it. This is the same thing as 1 over x to the positive a. So what you do, if you see a negative exponent, you flip it so it goes to the denominator. If it's in the denominator, it would also go to the top. But then you just take the negative exponent and make it positive. So what is another way to write 3 to the negative third power? It'd be 1 over 3 to the positive third power. What's 3 times 3? Times 3? That's the same thing as 1 over 27. Negative exponents do not mean negative numbers. They typically just mean small numbers. Okay? So, 2 rules we got to know. 1, these are exponent rules. 1 is, what are you going to do if you ever see a negative or a 0 exponent? It's going to equal 1. Except x can't equal 0 here. Okay? So 0 to the 0 power is not 1. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, if you ever see a negative exponent, what are you going to do with the negative exponent? All you're going to do is flip it and make it positive. Easy? Let's try some. Everybody take a look at page 449. And you might as well take out a sheet of paper. We're just going to start your homework. Your homework is page 449. It's going to sound like a lot, but you're going to find this goes very quickly. Every third problem again, which means which numbers are we doing? 3, 6, 9, 12, numbers that divisible by 3. So number 3 says, what is 3 to the 0 power? What's the answer? 1. Number 6 says, what is 1 to the negative 8? What do we do with negative exponents? You flip it, make it positive. So that would be the same thing as 1 over 1 to the 8th. What's 1 times 1 times 1 times 1? 8 times? It's 1. So that'd be 1 over 1, which is just 1. By the way, what's 1 to any power? Doesn't matter what the exponent is, positive, negative, 0. What's 1 to any power? 1. What's 9 say? What's 4.2, ugly decimal, to the 0 power? 1. So far, so easy? How about number 12? Number 12, uh-oh. That one says 2t, quantity of 2t, raised to the negative 4th power, and they say they want t is going to equal 2. What do you do first? What do I do with this 2? plug it in first. So I got to do 2 times 2. What's 2 times 2? Isn't that 12? Oh, I wrote the 13 down. Sorry. Sorry, I'll do 12. So it says b to the negative 2, and b is supposed to equal negative 3. So the b has to become, should I use parentheses here and write it like this, or no? Yes. So, no. What do I do with this negative? What do I do with this, the negative exponent? Do these negatives cancel? No. They mean different things. The negative exponent means I should flip it, which means it's 1 over negative 3 to the positive 2 power. Now, what is negative 3 times negative 3? So the answer is 1 over positive 9. Why is it positive 9? Why did this one end up being positive? Did it end up being positive because these two negatives cancel each other? No, it ends up being positive because this negative moved it to the bottom, but then the 2, because we had 2 negatives, that made it a positive. So the answer is 1/9. Are we good so far? Okay, let's try 15. 15 says we've got 2x to the 0, y to the negative 3, x is supposed to equal 7, y is supposed to equal negative 4. So, plug it in. We got to do 2 times 7 to the 0 times negative 4 to the 3rd. What's 7 to the 0? So that's 2 times 1, which, okay, that's just going to disappear here, times, what do I do with the negative exponent here? Flip it. So that becomes 1 over negative 4 to the positive 3rd. Now I do have to figure out what is 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. What's 16 times 4? 64? So if I multiply straight across, this 2 is going to be on top. Here, I'll put it up here. That 2 is going to be on top. What's my denominator? Because this multiply straight across. This 2 is on top. My denominator, what was 4 times 4 times 4? 64. Should that be a positive or a negative 64? Why negative? Because there's 3 of them. Negative times a negative times a negative would be a negative. Should I reduce that? What's 2 over 64 reduced to? 1 over 30. So the final answer should be negative 1 over 32. Always.
Well, the calculator.
Try number 18. So what's it say? 7 over r to the negative 7th. Is there anything I can do with that top 7? No. What do I do with negative exponents? You flip them. So right now they're in the denominator. So where do these r's now go? Up top. Do I move the 7 or does that stay on top? The 7 stays. Those r's come up to join the 7 and it becomes that. You can put it over 1 if you really want to, but do you really need to write the over 1? No. So the answer should just be 7r to the 7th. So far, so good? How about 21? That says f to the negative fourth over g to the negative sixth. What do you do with negative exponents? Flip them. So what goes to what's on top now? The g's go to the top, so it becomes g to the positive sixth. What's in my bottom? What's in the denominator? F to the fourth. It really is that simple, guys. If you see a negative exponent, you just move it. If it's in the top, you put it in the bottom. If it's in the bottom, you put it in the top, and you make it positive. That's all you will ever do with negative exponents. If you see a 0, it's a 1. Or exponent of 0. 24. Oh, it's got words. One of the smallest bats in the northern blossom bat, which is found from Southeast Asia to Australia. This bat weighs about 2 to the negative 1 ounce. What is that? That's the same thing as 1 over 2 to the 1, or just half an ounce. How about 27? What do you do with 3 to the negative 4? That's the same thing as, Tommy, what'd you get? That'd be the same thing as 1 over 3 to the positive 4, which is 1 over 81. Somebody tell me the answer to number 30. 1 over 49? 1/49th? Uh-oh, 33 looks hard. You've got negative 3 to the negative 1. Do those negatives cancel? Do those negatives cancel? No. What's the negative? What do you do with a negative exponent? You just move it to the bottom, so that negative 3 goes to the bottom, becomes to the positive 1, and then negative 3 to the first power is just negative 3. So the answer is negative 1/3. You can write it like this if you want. Those are all the same thing. Be careful with 36. What's the answer to 36? Negative 1/7. How is number 36 different than 33? Does that negative in front is that part of the exponent? No, you just leave that negative out in front. Are we good with these? Just plug the numbers in. They tell you all the numbers. 42. They just say 4, W to the V, X to the V. But then they say W is 3. They say V is 0. And they say X is negative 5. Well, when you plug all those numbers in, you're doing 4 times 3 to the 0 times negative 5 to the 0. Anything to the 0 power is? That's 1. That's 1. What's 4 times 1 times 1? That's not even a hard question. It's a scary teddy bear. Looks hard, super easy. Are we good with these? Okay.